Hello, I'm Loren Sederstrom, and I'm the host of the All Around Grant Show. Today we're going to turn this thing upside down. Well, I promised the viewers last time that we would show the tractor parade in its entirety, and we will. And it's about 40 minutes long. So what we thought we'd do is get rid of the political issues right off the top. And my guest, of course, today is Larry Lanoux. He's my co-host, helps me out with all this information. How you doing, Larry?
Lauren, we're doing great. We're just ready here to inform the citizens.
Yep, and information is so important because science is always growing and learning more. What, for example, they knew in the 50s, we've learned so much since then, and particularly when you're talking about the environment and the hazards that are found in them. In the 90s, they thought it was great. The best thing since sliced bread was water in a plastic bottle. Now they're finding out if you leave that water bottle in your car too long, some of the petroleum from the plastic goes into the water and it's not good for you. They're finding all kinds of things out that we didn't know before. So one of the problems, again, is awareness. We have to know what's going on. What used to be okay, and sometimes it takes years and years for the effects to be shown, for example, like cancer. And that's what we're going to give you examples today of, where all of a sudden, and it's occurring everywhere, okay, where there were hazardous environmental hazards and people weren't aware of how dangerous they can be, and long-term exposure. And lots of times you don't see the result for 20 years. So let's start out what we're going to start.
If I could, before that, Lauren, and be careful as these clips roll up, you'll see a perfect example is NSP used to put PCBs, oils in all their transformers. And you'll see that's one of the biggest things that we've determined are very carcinogenic and cancer-causing. And you'll see that's one of the perfect examples that's coming back to bite us today.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to give you examples to trace some of the concerns from a national level, and we'll come back down to a local level. And recently in the news out in California, teachers were getting sick. And so this piece will speak for itself. Control room, if you could play the first clip.
Cancers and other illnesses among the faculty on toxins allegedly unleashed during recent construction. Parents there are now afraid for their children's health, and ABC's Nick Watt has the details.
Here at Malibu High School, perched on the picturesque bluffs above the Pacific, teachers say they're getting sick. 3 say they were diagnosed with thyroid cancer in just the past 6 months.
I think it's horrifying.
In a letter to the school district signed by 20 teachers, they claim 7 of them are suffering migraines. 1 has suffered skin rashes, which apparently subside during the summer break. Another has to use an asthma inhaler, but only during the school year. Another reports unexplained hair loss. The teachers fear it's something in the buildings.
Fear, honestly, fear. I'm afraid my children spend all day here.
I am definitely a mom who wants answers.
District officials say not one student has complained of sickness, but just to be safe, environmental testers just scoured the school searching for mold and other pollutants. The results are expected any day now.
There's nothing to hide, and parents will know as soon as we have information to share.
The teachers' complaints began back in 2010 when this quad was dug up and PCBs, lead, and pesticides were found and removed.
Whenever you hear about a possible cancer cluster, you should be concerned. But it's so hard to know with a cancer cluster whether it's real, related to the environment, or just a coincidence.
Malibu High School remains open. Administrators say they are confident this spate of sickness really is just a coincidence. For Good Morning America, Nick Watt, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Well, there we go. One of the things they say it's a coincidence. They're always downplaying the possibilities. They don't want anything, it's just a coincidence. Well, you don't want your child to be a coincidence of cancer. The teachers are exposed to it. If you work in a building 20 years, you're going to feel the effects sooner. So we're going to, I think when we were down at the Capitol too, Senator Clausing, he went to school in the Mounds View district, and his aunt had died of cancer, and several other people in the building. And he had said his aunt always thought it was the asbestos in the ceiling. And come to find out, it was one of the 11 schools in the state of Minnesota that was built on a former dump site. And as soon as he found that out, he immediately signed on and became a sponsor for the particular bill, no school being built in a dump site. But now let's go on a little bit further, because one of the problems with this is it's hard to gather statistics, whether it's a quote-unquote coincidence or not. Because people, when they get cancer, they don't stay in the area and die. They probably go somewhere else. And we've seen that in White Bear over there by North Oaks. There was a former Red Ball dump site, or I forget what.
Red Arrow dump site.
Red Arrow.
And currently they have a 38% cancer rate going over there.
And the thing is that it isn't instantaneous. If you're exposed today, it isn't like the flu, you get it tomorrow. You're talking 20 years down the road, all of a sudden something comes out. And so we have Aaron Brockovich giving an example of this, if you could. So if control room, you could play the next clip.
Some girls from a school in Tennessee had contacted me, and there was about 30 of them. And they thought it was interesting once they found each other again on Facebook. They all had cancer, all of them. So they went to Google, and Google didn't have a whole lot of information. So they thought, well, heck, maybe Aaron Brockovich does. So we actually started looking at the information, and were able to trace them all back to the same high school, which had never been disclosed, was built on a Class 1 hazardous waste dump. So a lot of times information doesn't get out there to people, and I think we're in.
There we go. The point I want to make is disclosure. People have to know and make a conscious choice. If you're going to be sending your child, especially K through 5, into an elementary school for 6 years, those young people don't have fully developed immune systems yet, and there's a higher risk. And so, again, like Aaron says in this piece, they don't know till 20 years down the road that they all had the same cancer. And we've been, saying the same thing about the Wildwood School site, that the one that they have a vapor barrier under and positive ventilation system and an automatic alarm system, that within the first 5 days of the school year, they already had one evacuation. So, and again, they did not, announce that. The only reason that it came out in the paper was I had an email from a parent that was on the email list. I disclosed it on the Bob Zick Inside Insight show on Wednesday night. They finally responded by putting a small piece in the paper on Friday. So again, there's not transparency. They're trying to hide stuff, and that's the point. Kind of like a sin of omission. They're not telling you what you need to know so you can make an intelligent decision. And as a result, Larry and I have been lobbying down at the Capitol to get a bill through that says you have to let people know. Now in Mahtomedi, this is amplified because there's over a 30% open enrollment policy. So that means people are coming in from out of the district that have no clue, completely unaware that this was once a dump site from 1954 up through the 90s. So this is important. Okay, if we can play the next clip. This is Bob Baucox, 1 second. Bob Baucox, he's the lead person for Aaron Brockovich, 24 years, a water quality expert in California. And let's see what he has to say about this school being built on a dump site.
It's sad that you have to use your efforts on something like that, because it's pathetic to consider redevelopment of any former industrial site into a school, or those types of facilities. I mean,
easy to watch the kids because they'll glow in the dark and make you know.
It's just one of those things. It's called just say no, because it's one of those types of things. Is that there's no amount of science that's going to give me personally the security to put my kids in that school. So just don't. There's enough places you can do it elsewhere.
Again, and that's the point we were making when I was the chair of the Planning Commission. There were 25 safe acres to build to add on to O.H. Anderson, and had they not be going mad over this open enrollment and abusing the open enrollment issue, they wouldn't have to be building that much. But that being said, if we could play the next clip with Aaron Brockovich once again, please. If we can go with that one. She's talking about cleaning up our messes and what we have to do to be responsible with the knowledge we currently have.
And start working together and finding out what is happening to these communities. We expect our children to clean up their bedrooms I think it's time that we expect of ourselves to clean up our mess and begin to take a look at what we've done and what might be happening to the people. Because nobody's coming back in to tell you. How many of you knew you had 6 Superfund sites?
Okay, there she is. That was at Fridley, talking about the 6 Superfund sites, which is one of the worst polluted areas, worst situations in the country.
And ironically, Lauren, it's a Rice Creek watershed that the Wildwood Elementary School is built on. It's the same watershed in Fridley. That's how far this stuff travels.
We're going to have she'll come back with another clip on that. But let's get back to this transparency issue, okay? And how these people omit things, try to cover things up, okay? There's 3 test bore sites for Gopher Oil, which is called the leaky underground storage tanks, or LUS sites. These 3 sites were remediated with some of the worst toxins, and I documented that on last month's show, okay? Some of the worst toxins, and they were carried out to Idaho and Ohio. Okay, now, the next clip I will show you is from the Planning Commission. When I was on there, I was the chair, and Terry DeRosier is asking about the 3 sites that he cannot see in the 2-inch thick spec book. And he's asking the questions, and you notice they're very reluctant to come up and say anything. But one of the engineers does come up and finally gives a very lame explanation. So if you will watch that, control room, if you could play that clip, please.
On the site borings that were done, hate to belabor the point, I was looking for site boring 32, 71, and 63, and I could not find them in the spec book. Were they in there somewhere? I mean, who produced this? Didn't your company produce it?
We just got that information from the engineer on there, but I can't answer words.
You know, I'd gone through a lot of the boring samples, and I couldn't find number 32, number 63. None of the borings that were done in the eastern dump site are included in this site report.
That's correct.
Is there a reason for it?
I'm not
Or
sure what your question is.
why aren't they there?
Because we're not doing any work in those locations. Those borings are there to help the contractor prepare their bids so they understand what kind of material is going to be excavating into and moving around, that sort of thing. And because we're not proposing any work in those areas, any excavation, there's no point in filling up the book with unnecessary information that they have to decipher and look through in it.
Isn't that lame? 3 pages out of about 300. Oh, we don't want them to decipher that. And ironically, when the school says those 3 sites are 600 feet from the new school, when in fact, if you go by the scale and you go to the map, you will find that they're in fact 300 feet from the school. And again, these are distortions, omissions, and this is a pattern of behavior.
Lauren, a good example is when they said we're not building a school on that particular borings, what they're saying is, yes, we're not building the school on top of the leaky underground storage tank where NSP brought their PCBs from their transformers, their oils, and brought to Bel Air Sanitation for disposal. So yes, they weren't building right on top of it, but we all know that this was the area that was closest to the school, and those 3 borings he's asking for were the closest borings to the school, and like I said, 300 feet away, and we all know water flows downhill, and this school is downhill of the leaky underground storage
the
tank.
engineer was more interested in the permit than child safety, that's for darn sure. And what we're going to segue into is something called air stripping, okay? And one of the things I want to explain about air stripping, if you look at, some of you have been by sewage treatment plants and you see them spraying things into the air. And what that is supposed to do is take pollutants out of the water, and they settle down into the
heavy metals settle into the ground,
and
the air evaporates.
And one of the things that they were initially proposing is Rice Creek didn't want to accept the water from these ball fields. And remember, folks, all these initially were certified for. It didn't say anything about building a school on this site. They were certified only for athletic fields. Now, when we checked with the health department and the MPCA, you would not be allowed to build a house anywhere on this site. So these rocket scientists are going to build a school, to put kids ultimately K through 6, plus they have early childhood development, plus they're probably going to have senior citizens. Of course, senior citizens in 20 years are going to CAC anyway, so it really doesn't matter for them, I guess. But for the kids, when they graduate from high school, gee whiz, they're going to be able to compare their cancers. But anyway, getting back to this airstripping, we're going to play the next clip, and that talks about that with Erin Brockovich. She has a man by the name of Bob Balcox.
Yes.
And he is a certified, has certification in water purification and handling. He's out of Los Angeles, I believe. And he ran a water system for about 24 years, a municipal water system. And so he's very familiar, he's certified, he's very familiar with water quality and what they're doing. And so the next couple of clips we're going to have is he's going to be discussing, for example, why Erin Brockovich is here. And he's also going to be discussing a couple of different things. What is that called again?
Airstripping.
Airstripping. It's a procedure that they use to get toxins out of water and what that does. And so we're going to be seeing that. So the next two clips is going to be him. And Bob is the front man for Erin. He does most of the testing. He does a lot of the research. And one of the other things he'll talk about, investigative work, there's plumes. There's several types of pollution. There's air pollution. There's also gases that move through the soil. They call that a plume. There's also TCEs. Those are types of things, poisons. And they may travel on the top of water. So there's 2 or 3 different aspects to this.
Okay, so let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
Erin, what do you think about what's going on here, and can you help us? Erin bounced it to me.
Control room, we can cut this one.
One of the articles referring to a meeting that Jason had.
Okay, that wasn't the right clip. I made it wrong.
I guess a segue in Loren is to say that we do have the documentation. It's over here. It's talk about the irrigation well and network location. If you've seen the blueprints for this job when it first came out to bid, it says this irrigation system, which was going to collect the rainwater and bring it through there, said you could not install it over 24 inches deep, or that you'll break the seal of the dump. And the other thing that you'll see on that same document is see the proposed addition for the future 3 to 5. So we're not going to just expose the K to 2.
Okay, let's go to the if we could put up that levy money. We're going to shift gears here now. And here's what we want to show you some numbers. Okay, the current cost per student of the levy is currently $869. This is the one they're going to be voting on in November. Okay, the proposed cost is $11.99. Now they're trying to tell us it's a 28% tax increase when in fact it's a 38%. If you compare the difference of that between $869 and $11.99 subtracted, that is a 38% increase of the base, which is $869. They're going on the $11.99. So what they're doing is minimizing the amount of increase. They have 3,258 students attending school, 2,239 are from Mahtomedi, 1,019 are open enrollment. And they don't bring all the money with them, folks. It's 31%. The state average open enrollment is 4.25%, folks, if you're following along. And the cost for this levy is going to be $39 million. So if you look at it, 3,258 times $11.99 for 10 years, okay, and if we break it down of Mahtomedi students versus open enrolled students, we're spending $26.8 million on
open enrollment.
Open enrollment.
Abusive open enrollment.
I mean, the total cost for enrolled students is $12.1, but the difference is what we're paying for open enrollment. So it's a 38%. It will not cover the cost of the open enrollment policy. Okay, that's what we wanted to cover. And I think now we're going to segue into the Great Grand Tractor Parade that I had promised I would bring you folks in its entirety.
And right before we segue, Loren, if I could, I remind you, go out there when we're sending literature out there. Remember November 5th to get out there, vote for your levy. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. Go out there. We'll put out information for you. Do your homework. Vote with your pocketbook.
So we're gonna just head right into the tractor parade right now because we're running low on time. If we could segue into that control room, that would be great.
Grant Heritage Tractor Days Parade. This is brought to you by the GRP Grant Restoration Project. Now the purpose of the GRP is to protect our rural lifestyle and agricultural history and the right of freedom and freedom of speech. And here comes our box. Thank you very much. And I want to thank the Stillwater Fire Department for showing up today. We knew they'd be here in force. They're the ones that are out there protecting you when your house is at risk. So thank them. I know a lot of them are volunteers, and they volunteered to be here today. So we appreciate you being here. Stop back and have a meal on us today. So thank you. So remember, the purpose of the GRP is to protect our rural lifestyle and agricultural heritage, along with the right of freedom of speech and the right to assemble in our city hall, which currently we do not have. Okay, we want to promote fun activities, civic pride, and respect for our neighbors. We need to preserve our rich heritage and property rights for future generations. The GRP's goal is to provide a venue to keep you informed about current events happening in Grant. And I want to thank Kim and Dan, owners of the Gas House, for their support and facilities to host this fun event every year. They put a lot of time and effort. I want to thank everyone and each who took their time to attend here today, and I'll go back to the rest of it. But first off, we got our Grant Town Hall. Smitty, if you can just kind of hold up here a little bit. Hey, Smitty, you got us? Hold her right there for a minute, Smitty. We're going to talk a little bit about our fabulous Grant Hall. Hey, Smitty, hold her a minute. Right there, you're a good deal. We got our Grand Marshals here, Bruce and Barb Ramsden out here, and they've got a rich heritage and history in our city of Grant. Remember, our Grant is named after Ulysses S. Grant. We got Ken Martins out here. We'll be speaking today, and here's Ken over here standing up behind the umbrella over here. Ken's going to give you a little bit of history about the history of Grant when you come back for dinner, and you'll understand why we're trying to honor the city that we have here today. It's a very rich history. The Ramsden family had family that were in the Civil War. They made it back injured, and they're buried at Rutherford Cemetery on Manning Avenue over there. So remember, we've got a great, rich history in Grant. We've got Representative Kathy Lomer over here. She's out here representing us. We also have our other state representatives, Senator Karen Housley today and Representative Bob Detmer. They wanted to be here today, but they had to go to Norfolk, Virginia for a dedication for the USS Minnesota. It's a brand new submarine. And I want you to make sure you thank them when you see them, because they're representing your state out of their own pocketbook. So we want to thank these people that represent us. They're doing a good job. If you have any questions, Kathy will be over there at dinner later. Stop in, visit, thank them for the efforts that they put in. And remember, unfortunately, it's only a 2-year term. She's got to run next year. Keep her in mind. So we want to thank them. It looks like we got, a couple other veterans that have been out here and showing up here that work in a deal. Mr. Serapo here, I think he was in World War II. We've got other veterans that are here, so remember your civic leaders and your past veterans. Without them, we wouldn't be having the freedoms we have today. Thank you. Now we have the Gast House coming up, and this is Dan out here and his daughter Emma, and they're doing a good job representing us. I don't know if anybody realized how much work Dan puts in to host this event. Without him, we wouldn't be having the success we're having. So Dan, we do appreciate everything you do for us. Next we have coming up, I guess it's time I get my note cards out because we got Diesel Brian. I'm kind of doing these, just winging it here, folks. So, but we do have Diesel Brian out here. And, we got number 2 coming up here. Well, this is Brian Munt, and he's driving a, I don't have to look at the cars, Minneapolis Moline. Brian's been a good help to us, and thank all our helpers that do come out here because Brian is doing an excellent job. Next we have unit number 2 out here. It looks like number 3. This isn't number 3. Somebody snuck in here. Well, I want to thank you. You got a nice gator just the same. And I'm not going to get you all in line. And somebody probably just jumped ahead of Jethro. Keep in mind, Jethro every year tries to come with something a little bit more big and impressive because he didn't get first the first year. So every year it brings a new piece. I hope our roads can hold up to Jethro. I can't wait to see what Jethro has here for us next year, but this can harvest corn at 6.5 miles an hour with a 12-row head on her. So I want to thank Jethro because he brings some unique pieces. Right now he's doing a turnaround here because the unit that he has probably will not be able to turn around in our small swing area. So Jethro, I want to thank you for coming. You're kind of unique all on your own. Jethro is sponsored by Rabines Farms, and Rabine Farms is a great sponsor of our Grant Heritage Days Parade. So remember during the year, support our sponsors because without them, we couldn't have a parade. It's people like that there that sponsors that make this happen. Along with the contestants that show up here today, the citizens, I really feel that if you invite the citizens and you show them some respect, they will show up. So I want to thank those that did take time out of their day to show up here today. Looks like we got another entrance coming up here. And it looks like, is this a Razor? This is 04. Okay, this is Dave Stone, and he's got a John Deere Gator, so we want to thank them for coming out here today. Next, we got a little Razor, and this is Laura. Laura is one of our great sponsors out here. She's one of our greatest workers out here. Without these people helping us, we wouldn't have here. We've got number 6 with a Gator, and there's Alyssa, and that is Laura's granddaughter. That's Bill David's granddaughter. So we want to thank them for coming out today. I want to thank Mark Wojcik for taking the time to organize our parking over here. It's been a lot simpler. I can simply grab the cards. It's a lot simpler than last year. Here we have Christy Sullivan. If you get a chance to thank Christy Sullivan, she painted, she has an oil painting you'll see when you come back. She's done a beautiful job of painting the Ramsden family over there and the history they have. So thank Christy. She's from Stillwater, but she believes in Grant, and she's just here to help us out. Next we have Bill David. Bill David's on a 1948 Ford. It was, Bill says here that it was once owned by Henry Ford himself. Bill's got, looks like I'm picking up for Bill. He must have stopped at the sawmill on the way over here. But Bill tells us that that tractor was once owned by Henry Ford himself. And then next we got Rodney Scogan coming up here. Rodney's on a 3520 John Deere. And if you talk to Rodney, he'll probably sell it to you at the end of the day. So next we come up here is Ray Spells. Ray's got his family, and they're representing the Spells family, which has a rich history in the city of Grant. Ray's uncles have been on our town board when we're a town board. Sometimes I wish we were back to the town board, and life is nice and simple. So keep in mind, we can't keep Grant here by accident. We have to plan to keep Grant the community we all love. Next we're coming up, and it looks like we got 11. It looks like John Siebert. He's got a 2008. It's a John Deere with a 640/30. And this is the same mower that comes out and mows our ditches for us. So if you wonder how our ditches get cleaned, this is a machine that does it. It's a resident Bill David that had that Ford that came through there. So thank Bill for taking his time. Looks like we got Ted Munson coming on another John Deere. It's a 540 with a trailer, and that also belongs to John David. Or not to Bill, but John, his brother. So we got a few of the Davids coming in town here. So this machine also comes and mows your ditches. So these people don't just come out, you know, to have fun. They also work in your community, and you want to thank them for taking their time. Next we have John with his chicken tractor. He's got a Minneapolis Moline. It's a 1953. I think John has brought all the poultry here. So if you get a chance to, you want to play the chicken shit game, go back to the City Hall. John's got the chickens for you. The rest is up to the chickens. Next we have John Otto. John has a John Deere 4300. And John is related to the David. So, I mean, we have a rich history of people in our city here. So, looks like coming up here is entering number 15. And we got Councilman Bonin running with Harvey Uglum. It's a 1930 Ford Model A. And they don't make them like that all day anymore. I mean, he says that our time wearing this one out, he says. If we can kind of hold up here, we got entry number 16. Jeff Bird, and he's from Birdman. He's got a tricycle over here, and it a little electric motor. Got a little electric motor. So I mean, if he's got to start pedaling uphill, I'm sure he starts kicking in the electric motor. Well, Jeff, thanks for coming today. Okay, now I'm going to skip up to entry number 41. This has come from Nuss Trucking. We want to thank Nuss Trucking. He brought this all the way up from Gainesville, from Florida. Many of you remember the wine truck he had. Absolutely beautiful pieces. He sponsors our parade, so if you need a Mack truck, stop in to see Nuss Trucking. They'll take care of you. Let's see who we got coming up here. We're skipping up to 17 up here, so just hang on here a second and we'll get 17 read. It's Alex from Comstock. Well, Comstock brought that little gold card that came in right ahead of him. And he's also got that John Deere tractor right over there. So we got another nice unit coming up here. We'll catch a number 18. Jim, if you can just kind of hold her up here, we'll give you a little deal. A lot of you people know the Shifskys in town. They've got a rich history in our town, and one of the days I imagine one of the Shifskys will be our grand marshals over here. They're a family that's rich in the history of Grant, and I want to thank them for coming here today. All right, Jim, thanks for coming, and nice unit. We're getting a lot of John Deeres coming through here today. Boy, if we're going to come on up. I know we got Mike Cook, and he's coming over here. He jumped right out of here. This comes from Century Power over here. So Century Power is another great sponsor. He's a heritage sponsor for our parade. There's a 3520. If you like that tractor, talk to John. He'll sell you the tractor. Probably throw in a cow if you got enough money. So Century Power, great supporter of our parade today. Coming up here, we got another Gator, comes out of Century Power, entry number 62. So we want to thank Mike and his family for showing up today and bringing his cow. I wonder how much milk he drinks at the end of the day. We're going back here to 19. If we just hold up here a second, Elding, we'll give you a good plug over here because he did pretty good. Oak Hill took third place last year as a neighborhood float. This is a 1959 John Deere. They're from Oak Hill Lutheran Church over there. That's where we all vote. We want to thank them for coming. They're great supporters. Next we got Joe Kyle, and it looks like he's driving another great John Deere. Coming up here, I don't even have to look for that number. We have Joyce Wielander driving a tractor through here. And if I was a betting man, I would guess this tractor's been already bought and paid for. And Joyce and Art were our Grand Marshals last year, and they've done a great job representing our community throughout the years. Joyce is a face for 4-H in Grant. Unfortunately, 4-H has left the city of Grant as the city of Grant has left 4-H. So, but we'd like to get 4-H back in town. So, Joyce, I want to thank you for all your hard efforts, and we all miss Art. Next, we have Polar Chef coming out here, and my guess is might be Haley inside of there. It's getting a little warm. She'll have to go back there and rehydrate when she gets done with this unit. Okay, we're moving up to number 25, and we got Margie. She's driving another John Deere, and looks like a 6405. And I believe this is one of Loren Sederstrom's who does the all-around Grant show, so we'll have to see if Bob jumped out of line here. Okay, we have Bob Zick. Bob is the all-around Grant show on Channel 15. Looks like he's being greeted by Mr. Wyckoff today. Bob's riding rear form out here, so if you really want to see some of the information that comes out in the city of Grant, go to Bob Wednesday nights at 8:30 on the Bob Zick Show. We want to thank Bob for coming. If you can just kind of hold up here, we got David Bird, and we're kind of moving a little fast, so we'll try to slow you up. David's on a farm mall over here. I believe this farm mall, it might be one of... David, is this yours or is this one of Lauren's? Okay. Dave's proud to be driving a farm mall. He's not going to claim ownership, it looks like. But it's a nice red tractor. It's a good break. We've been having a lot of green go by, so thanks for coming. Okay, coming up, we got another tractor coming up. It looks like another Minneapolis Moline. It's John's driving this tractor. It's a 1940 Minneapolis Moline. He says his wife's grandfather had this tractor and knew in 1940. It's never been out of the family. I'd keep it in the family too. Thanks for coming, John. Next, we got Benjamin Kyle up here, and his wife and his mom Jeannie. Joe came through here earlier. We've got Jacob, that is a very good young studious person over here. He's helping us organize this event, and he's working on the judging. So the family got a little split up today, but. Oh, we got somebody near with their 4th birthday. We want to say happy birthday to them. So, all right, Ben, thanks for coming, and we'll see you back in the lunch line. Hold on to your hat. Okay, looks like we're jumping up. We got Dick Paulson that bring this entrance in. We want to thank Dick and Keith Mueller. They're both instrumental in getting this parade started earlier. Dick is with Remax, and he's been sponsoring our parade all along. So, you know, it's the support, though, that support our city of Grant. Next, we're coming up with If you could just kind of hold, if you could hold her up here, we got entry number 33. It looks like we got them on the next Kubota. Heck, they're getting s'mores for the people up here. So I'll bet you that guy on the end over here, he'd love a s'more down there. John might, because looks like they're having fun. I'd like to do it, but I'd just make a mess of the microphone. But thanks for coming. You guys got a really nice unit. We're hope to see you back here next year. Okay, we're gonna go up to 34 if we can find it. So you just hold up here. We'll somehow we haven't found your card over here, but it looks like you got a nice John Deere tractor or Gator over here. Now, thank you for coming. Sorry I haven't found it in here. Might have got moved around. Okay, we're gonna go back in here and wait a minute. I think I just saw that card here. Okay, that was John and Joyce Pavoni over here. That was 34 that went on that Gator. So they did show up. The card just got a little bit out of place here. Now we got Kevin Kyle, and if I was a betting man, I'd probably say you're related to Joe. All right, well, you have my sympathies. Thanks for coming today. Oh, look at this nice unit coming out here. This is unit number 31. Nice tractor. Look at that driver over here. This is Jake Miller, and Jake Miller's driving a 1965 wheel horse lawn tractor. Said it was Grandpa was the original owner, and I'll bet you Grandpa's smiling right now. Nice job on that unit. Now there's the future of Grant sitting right there, folks. You gotta recognize these kids are taking the effort. Next one we got coming out here is Tony and Jody Collette. They live on Keswick Avenue. Driving a farm ball. Tony's another good resident of Grant. Happens to be a neighbor of mine, and I tell you what, couldn't ask for a better set of neighbors over here, or a better road to live in the city. Thank you guys for coming. I thought you were going to bring in that Obama mobile over there, the spreader that they had last year. Looks like next we got the Spider showing up. John over here's got a 1949 Paulus Chalmers over here. This is one nice unit. I'll bet you he owned that from me. He's 95 years old. One of our oldest contestants in the parade, shows up every year, does a great job representing us. Next we got number 37 over here. You guys, thanks for coming out here. You're doing a great job. Okay, come on through. Got another John Deere tractor coming up here. Here we got Henry Lonson. It's a 1982 640 John Deere. And I want to thank you for coming here. Next we got Bernice Lentz. Bernice is driving a Kubota over here. It looks like she's got it filled with the little family members back there, so I want to thank them for coming. Looks like, boy, I didn't got the number on the front of that. Can you help me with the number on that? Hang on. Huh? Okay, that was number 40 over there. That was Ray Hostiger. And I believe Ray's driving across the river. He's coming from Stillwater over here, four-wheel drive. Here comes number 42 over here. This Durand construction over here. We got a 2006 John Deere on a trailer back here. We want to thank Durand Construction for showing up here today. Maybe next year they want to be one of our general sponsors. We'll give them a good plug today. Okay, moving right on over here is Tom Shifsky, another Tom Shifsky. Got a nice now Shifskys have always supported our parade. Many of you know the Shifsky family that came in earlier. If you need blacktopping, go talk to the Shifskys. They'll do you a good job. Here we got number 44, and we got another farm mall up here going through here. Another John Deere. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I've seen so many John Deeres here lately that I'm getting colorblind. So I want to thank Dan and his family to come out here, and he said this was restored from junk and Fleet Farm. So that's probably where the paint came from. All right, well, thanks for coming, and we hope to see you again next year. Another entry we got here is, and looks like they've got their, another little green tractor coming through here. Now, here's our future of Grant, folks. We got to remember, we come out here so that they can all live a great memory and childhood out here, and they'll probably be one of our next civic leaders, so thanks for coming. All right, thank you. All right, now we got another farm mall coming. I always made that. And here comes Steve over here. It's a farm mall A. My guess he's owned that for a little while now. Thanks for coming here. Now we're going back to 24 here, if I can get my fingers going quick enough. There we go. We got Tom Gunderson. Here's the 1945 Farm Mall H. And the Gundersons have a rich history in Grant. Folks, I don't know if you realize how lucky we are to keep having these people come back. The Gundersons have been here for a long time. This is Steve Gunderson over here. We want to honor them. They come out here every year. It's families like that that have kept our community that we can all be proud of. Here come with number 41. We got Sean. It looks like he's got an Arctic driving that float. Like I said, you can bring anything you want in our parades. We don't charge much to show up. In fact, we feed you at the end, so not a bad deal, all in all. Well, we're going to go back here. And we got Andrew coming on as a 1976 John Deere with his loader on here. So we want to, and I'll bet you this has picked a little bit of cropping in the city of Grant at one time here. We'll look at here. This is Art Wielander's sister now. She shows up here every year. She just jumps right in line as she needs to. We want to thank you for coming. I know the Wielanders have a rich history in our city also, so we want to thank them for showing up year after year and the service they've done to our community. Now we got Bo Olson coming on there. He's on a Massey Ferguson. Haven't had many Massey Fergusons coming through here today. One of few that are keeping them going. And look at this rebel out here. We got Mark Wojcik. We want to thank Mark and his family for showing up. Mark's responsible for making life easier.
God bless America!
That's right. Mark is one of these that helped organize the parking over here. Has been him and his family over here doing a great job representing Grant. He was one of our past planning commissioners before our city council disbanded the complete planning commission. He's given a lot back to the community, so we want to thank Mark and his efforts. Okay, now we got 50. Well, heck, this is Hedberg. I shouldn't be looking at the card. I should look at the float. I want to thank Hedberg because there's another great sponsor in our community. If you need plants and nursery work, feel free to stop in at Hedberg. They support the community, and we should in turn support them. Great product, great addition to the city of Grant, and we want to, support them. It's businesses like this here in Grant that need to be rewarded. Next, we have Bob Hegstrom coming up here. Usually he's got Elsie and a whole group of them. Looks like Bob's bachelor today. He's all by himself. Oh yeah, if that's all it takes, Bob, we're there. Money and a free beer, we can be had. Now we got the pirate. This is Ray Hansen. And Ray's coming again. He's back again from next year. I'll bet you he's got the only pirate outfit that's out here today. We want to thank them for showing up every year. Now we got Bob showing up on his John Deere. And Bob brought this from Hudson, Wisconsin. So remember, folks, you don't have to be right from Grant. You can be a neighboring person in our community. Everybody loves a good tractor parade. Now here comes Ray Hansen here, and I don't know if many of you people know, but Ray drives his tractor over from Holton every year to show up, and he does a great job representing Farmall and the city of Holton. In fact, it looks like he spent a little time in church along the way to get here. Okay, we're jumping up to 57. And if you can just kind of hold up, here comes Dorothy. If you want to hold 58 up here, we got Bill Buell in here. Bill's another good neighbor down here on Keswick Avenue, driving a nice John Deere. Now we're going to skip right on up to, we had Brian Klein in here someplace. He's probably going to show up yet. This is Brian Janke. He's in a 1951 Minneapolis Moline. Looks like that one's earned its keep along the way. Oh gosh, here we come with a 1961. If we just hold up here, this is Chris Black driving this one. Looks like this was one that's been around in our community for a long time also. So it's got a Stillwater name right on there. So it's like many of us in Grant with a Stillwater mailing address. This is Loren Sederstrom. We're going to thank Loren for putting his efforts in the All Around Grant Show. He does a great job for the All Around Grant Show, keeping us up and current. And remember, everything Loren has on his shows are carefully documented and researched. So Loren might like to BS, but usually his shows are fairly accurate. We want to thank Loren for putting his time in. If you got cable television, turn on Mondays at 7 p.m., Tuesdays 6 o'clock p.m., in the AM on Tuesdays, and keep up with what's going on all around Grant. Thanks, Loren.
Are you riding back?
No, I've got another fine ride, Loren. So we're getting right to the end here, huh? All right. Next we have Brian Klein. Many of you people have seen Brian come through our community. He grades our roads, and the Klein brothers have done a great job in their community. They're from here. We want to thank the Kleins. They're also sponsors of the Heritage Parade. So that being said, I want to invite each and every one of you to come back to the Gast House, have a free meal. I'd like to take the time to thank our sponsors that donated the monies to be here today. Remember, at the end, we'll be awarding trophies here in several different categories. Remember, this year, the GRP, along with Steve Kosek, owner of Priority Courier Express, will be offering 3 scholarship opportunities for young adults in the city of Grant. For more information and application, visit the GRP website, www.thegrp.org, or emails us at information@thegrp.org. And I want a special thank you for Channel 19 that took its time to come out and tape this event. It'll be broadcast at various times. It looks like Channel 19 will be going out on the September 13th at 3 p.m. and September 14th and 15th at 7:30 p.m. And I know they play it several other times during the year. So I want to thank Channel 19 for coming out here and support your Suburban Cable Commission. So if I haven't got all the thank yous out there, come out to dinner and you can hear them all over again. So I want to thank those of you that showed up here today, and I encourage you to stop up at the Gast House. There's plenty of food, plenty of friends, and go out there and reacquaint with yourself with some old neighbors, and let's make some new friends up there, and we hope to all see you at the Gast House. Thank you. It's 5683. 5683. 5497.
Jethro for driving the big giant thing. Ray Hostagert from Stillwater. Please come get your trophy when I call your name. That'd be fantastic. Joyce is getting third place.
Yeah, you got it. There we got Mr. Greg Larry's coming to get himself some broken chicken at Willerny. There you go.
Good warm afternoon to you. I'm historian Ken Martins, and I've been invited to help address the theme of today's event, the 150th recognition of the Civil War, which impacted Greenfield Township in such a way that they felt a name change was in order, renaming Greenfield Township, becoming Grant Township, named for the general that won the Civil War and preserved the United States of America. Back in the days of Greenfield Township, the first arrivals to the St. Croix Valley in this area, they came out and staked large claims, large acreage of land. And from that acreage, they were pretty aggressive in their farming, and they staked claims so large that it never was dispersed or never was sold off in the smaller plats. And so the large plats still exist, and the large farms are still unique to this area, where other townships have been divided up into such small parcels. This makes Grant pretty special. Now, during the pioneering times, they would say that I'm properly dressed. A lot of people are asking me if I'm warm. Well, actually, historically speaking, I am properly dressed for a pleasant day. So I'm wondering what happened to your clothes, and if the rebels came and needed your clothes and stole them because you don't appear to be properly dressed to me. But they drank a lot of water in those days, and we're not acclimated to wearing 3 layers of clothes as they did virtually every day. And so, and the Civil War was a divisive event that took place, divided this nation. The United States actually came to an end and ceased to exist. And the people in Grant Township, they did contribute soldiers to the Civil War. But their contribution wasn't as great as other communities where men volunteered in great numbers. Hardly 15 men came from Greenfield Township to volunteer for the Civil War, and yet the Civil War was a difficult period. It was harsh living conditions just to survive daily, let alone a battle. And so they, even though their participation was minimal in the Civil War, they felt compelled to rename this township for the general that won the Civil War and preserved the United States of America. And so the soldiers we have here, we have some burials at Rutherford Cemetery of the Veterans, and not many people visit the veterans' graves anymore. All those folks have passed on, and there's a couple of brothers buried together. The Clary brothers are buried in the Withrow Cemetery. And actually, one of the boys, in elderly age, passed away in Canada. And it was important enough that his body be returned to the home of his youth, Grant Township, and bury him with his brother at Withrow Cemetery. So there are strong feelings about the community here, about what the guys did in the Civil War. And so that's a little bit of the history of Grant Township, and I'd like to compliment everybody on the committee that